to yeah, it's open. All right. Quite a day yesterday. Going like that this week. Check in on that China business. Oh, yesterday China's stock market erased an estimated 2 trillion renminbi in a single second. It's a boo-boo. Ralph Lauren stock soars 14% after reporting exceptionally strong sales in China. Like their Ralph Lauren. They'll have money for it. Yeah, it looks like a okay. Well, if I have anything first off. FBI. Oh yeah, this freaking insane business here. This freaking guy being arrested on like a $90 million fraud case. Booked it. He ran, man. He jumped out of a 4-story freaking building. Looks like broke his ankle and ran. Or hobbled, sort of.
Before I begin my crux of my remarks, I need your help. On the screen, you will see a subject. Depicted on the screen here of an individual who was a target of the investigation this morning. That individual is currently on the run after having jumped out of a fourth-story balcony. I want you to get a good look at him right now. You'll see him. You'll see him running.
He
here.
Must have landed in some bushes or something. Like
he is currently on the run. We need your help. If you recognize this individual, if you know this individual, if you can provide any information related to this related to this individual, I would encourage you to call 1-800. Call FBI, CALL FBI, or go to the internet at www.tips.fbi.gov or call your local law enforcement. Before I begin,
90 million, homeboy. Yep. Okay. This one I don't play the.
Remember the raid on Mar-a-Lago? Well, this prosecutor was in support of that case. She helped Jack Smith bring those charges. She herself was charged Wednesday for allegedly illegally emailing herself a copy of the classified report that Jack Smith wrote, the report that a judge said could not be released to the public. Oh. She disguised the material, I'm not making this up, as cake recipes and then tried to move them to her private email address, but the justice...
Yeah, because, modern search features will be fooled by titling the email cake recipe.
Department's tech team discovered it, and now the indicted prosecutor, Carmen Mercedes Lineberger, who was a managing assistant U.S. attorney for the Fort Pierce branch of the Miami U.S. Attorney's Office, faces multiple felony counts. She's been charged with 2 counts of theft of government money on your property, the destruction, alteration, or falsification of records in a federal investigation, and concealing, removing, or mutilating public records. She pleaded not guilty. This is the sort of case that brings accountability to a deep state that sometimes feels it can do what it wants, that it treats the American people's product as their own, tries to take it as their own. Remember, not that long ago, John Bolton, the former national security advisor, was similarly charged for trying to move classified information to his private email. This is another example of that. seldom do we see a prosecutor prosecute it themselves, but today we see that. Now, the department, in announcing these charges, said that in separate instances in late 25, Lineberger altered the electronic file names of government records that she received in her official capacity to conceal her unauthorized electronic transmission of the records to her personal email accounts. In other words, she moved in a personal email. She stole the reports, put them to some place where she was not allowed to do. We'll have more of that over at justthenews.com.
Okay. Korean influencer flew to France to do a stream and debunk all those right-wing myths that say that French cities are supposedly just too dangerous to even go out in. You know, crazy racist stuff like that. You know, because of the presence of African migrants. Only a racist.
And then, hello, yeah.
And then he found out.
Nice to meet you. Yeah, YouTube. Me, my face. Don't come to me. Okay. Huh? No camera. So my face. Yeah, my face. You don't come to me, then you don't on my stream. Hello. Do you speak English? Yeah. What do you? I'm speaking. Huh? No. 이때. What do you mean? 이때. Sorry? Go out? Why?
I don't know if you guys can read that, but
Okay. Chill. My face. My face. Okay, my face.
you're trying to steal his shit.
Wait, my face. Oh, fuck this area. Content, guys, content. I'm leaving, dude. What?
Now they've got dirt bikes? Well, they got him with a chainsaw. Oh, he's okay.
Help me!
Running for his life.
Police! Help me! Please help me! Police!
Police! Help me!
No, okay. No. Why? What do you mean? English. Please. Hey, please. Don't do that. Please.
Well, I hope you learned your lesson there, Mr. Korean man. Don't go to France. We'll come back to that one. It's actually pretty. Rep. Jim Jordan announces the human sources who infiltrated J6 might have been paid by the SPLC.
Sources we know he's committed to come. We also sent a subpoena yesterday for documents dealing with this fraud. They called these guys field sources. Here's a key question I have too. Were any of the guys they were paying, was the Biden Justice Department paying these same guys confidential human sources? We know 26 confidential human sources were at the Capitol on January 6th. 4 went in the Capitol. They weren't authorized to do so. I want to know if any of these guys were double dipping and taking money from the government and from the Southern Poverty Law Center. That's one of the things we want to find out.
That would be another new chapter if true.
They was doing that.
And if proven. Sir, thank you for your
He's committed to come. We also sent a subpoena.
Just about guarantee it. New data shows once an Indian... This is crazy. Once an Indian CEO gets hired at a major company, what follows is Americans getting pushed out of their jobs and replaced by Indians. Google, Microsoft, YouTube, Adobe, IBM, Infosys, NetApp, a bunch of other fuckers I don't recognize, Micron, FedEx,
Microsoft,
all got Indian CEOs at some point, and all followed the same pattern.
Indians have become CEOs at major American companies, including Microsoft, Google, Adobe, IBM, YouTube, FedEx, and T-Mobile. How are they reshaping US tech firms?
There's an observable correlation
the pagetification of U.S. tech.
Between the rise of Indian-born CEOs taking the helms at major U.S. companies and increased offshoring and outsourcing activity to India. In the case of Google, Sundar Pichai became CEO in 2015, and that
Google currently sucks balls. They're a fucking joke. In the AI world, as far as AI everything goes, they're a joke. Like a literal, like a joke that people laugh at every time they release something because it's funny how bad it sucks. It just happened yesterday. Their big Google I.O. thing. Or maybe it was 2 days ago. I don't even remember at this point because who cares? Because nothing they release worth a shit. It's a joke. They have more resources and more data, more access to more and better data than either OpenAI or Anthropic. And they are still somehow sucking balls. I wonder if it has anything to do with this stuff.
Including Microsoft, tech companies, including Microsoft, Google, Adobe, IBM, YouTube, FedEx, and T-Mobile. How are they reshaping US tech firms?
There's an observable correlation between the rise of Indian-born CEOs taking the helms at major U.S. companies and increased offshoring and outsourcing activity to India. In the case of Google, Sundar Pichai became CEO in 2015. And that year, they filed a total of 2,896 H-1B visa applications. However, fast forward 6 years to 2021, they had filed 9,315 H-1B visa applications.
You noticed more Indians working at FedEx internally, so they were outsourcing work to India, is that right?
Offshoring jobs.
And eventually, that's what happened to you?
Correct.
And what happened to your jobs and your team when you were all fired?
They all went to India.
How did it feel to be asked to train your replacement from India?
It was crushing. You go broke.
So no American company has ever been sanctioned for replacing American workers with foreign workers when they didn't have to do so?
Right. That has absolutely never occurred.
I had to sell my wonderful, perfect gem of a home in Sunnyvale that was custom made for me.
How long have you been looking for a job?
2 years.
Oh my God.
I had experience. I should have walked right into these corporate jobs, but I didn't. Why? Because Silicon Valley is flooded with people who work for 2/3 of the price or even half price.
I think the Indian community has really helped in the growth of America, just because we come with a lot of academics, right? All Indians are very highly educated, and I think we've always contributed very highly to the Indian, to the American economy.
It felt dehumanizing and it felt humiliating in a way to think that Google cared so little about your investment as a worker on their product that they would just throw it, to any group that they thought might be able to do it.
I'm an American, I'm a US citizen, but I don't feel threatened about my job because I know that I come to work on daily basis. I perform my job. I don't think I have replaced any US worker here.
You're also Indian.
I've come here, I've worked, I've gone through the whole system, and I've kind of adapted myself to the environment, and I'm still working, right?
And then
let me guess, you also work for an Indian.
Even force you to train your replacement people was sometimes kind of felt mean, and harsh.
Wow. Now. Oh, that's, we already saw that guy.
Of an individual, this individual, if you can provide any information related to this.
Okay. Let's go. Excuse me, over this way. All kinds of business to look at today. Yeah, pick it up.
And thank you, Lee. Look, on behalf of the Kroger Company, and we operate about 2,700 supermarkets.
Kroger, huh?
An orderly transition of equipment reduces both capital costs and operating costs. And at the end of the day, that's good for consumers because we're able to take that and put that into lowering prices, which is the key objective that we have in our business. So thank you very much.
And you were able to save a lot of money and put it elsewhere by not having to do this ridiculous.
Exactly. So it allows us, instead of having to outlay more capital at a faster rate and more operating costs, to change that equipment.
Well, to replace a refrigerator that's working perfectly, right?
Yeah. So that allows us, you know, obviously these things have a lifespan, but an orderly transition allows us to move through that in a way which keeps the price of groceries down, and that's something that we're, you know, desperately focusing on, Mr. President.
You know, many Americans were expressing a lot of frustration and anger of this rushed, frantic, reckless sprint by the Biden administration to phase out reliable equipment for grocery stores, for restaurants, and for homes. And the consequences, well, they've been devastating. And once again, the Trump administration is answering the call, which will lower the cost of living for hardworking American families. Now look at this chart to your far right. Today's actions are saving over $2.4 billion for American families. It's safeguarding 350,000 jobs. Just at supermarkets alone, we're going to see a savings of $800 million, which Americans will be able to see when they go and buy their food. The Biden EPA face-planted when trying to jam through their restrictions. Americans who wanted to be able to fix their equipment were instead being required to buy far more costly new equipment, and that just doesn't make any sense. Refrigeration trucks were being handed impossible restrictions to meet. And once again, here we are in the Oval Office. President Trump is righting another wrong. At the Trump EPA, we are proudly implementing President Trump's agenda every single day and delivering for the American people.
Piggly Wiggly stores.
Oh, we got the Piggly Wiggly now.
We operate 14 Piggly Wiggly stores.
Oh, he's got the accent and everything.
In North Florida, Alabama, and Georgia. On behalf of NGA, the Piggly Wiggly family, which has about 250 stores in the Southeast, we want to thank President Trump for rolling this terrible Biden legislation back, because without it, there would have been a lot of independents out of business. And what people don't...
Hey, if you've never been to a Piggly Wiggly, you're missing out.
Realize it.
I'm telling you, go to a Piggly Wiggly.
It's just not a refrigerant change. It was a equipment change. And those equipment per store, you take a store, our stores run from 25 to 50,000 square feet. You could look for $800,000 to $1.5 million per store to do a change out. That would have done.
The new equipment would not be as good as the old equipment.
No, absolutely not.
It would be inferior equipment because you weren't able to use a refrigerant.
It was thrown together too fast. The technology's not there yet. It's just way too fast. That's the problem. Good idea, but it's terrible. So you would have had all these independents go out of business. You'd had independents out of business, and you would have seen grocery prices soar. That's what would have happened if this would have went through. President Trump, thank you very much. On behalf of every independent in the United States, we cannot thank you enough for what you've done for us. Thank you so much.
Are there any assurances from the grocery chains that they'll pass these savings down to consumers?
Well, let's ask Kroger about that. Come on, that's a very good.
Well, they're gonna have to. If they have competitors.
Good question. You have the
going to happen eventually.
You have the biggest right here.
Yeah, we're actually right in the middle of doing that at the moment. So we're concerned about the cost of living. It makes a big difference when you get your pricing right, and we certainly are interested in ensuring that all our customers right across the country are paying the right price.
Mr. President Trump, are there any assurances
that they don't have electricity, they don't have money, they don't have really anything, they don't have food, and we're going to help them along, and we're going to help them because number one, I want to help them, on a humanitarian basis, but we have the Cuban American population, much of it living in Miami and Florida. That's a great group of people, amazing group of people, industrious, they're great Americans. They've wanted this to happen. They want to go back to their country. They want to help their country. I hope they're going to stay here, but they want to go back. They want to invest in their country and, see if they can bring it back. Other presidents have looked at this for 50, 60 years doing something, and it looks like I'll be the one that does it, so we'd be happy to do it. We want to open it up to Cuban Americans where they can go back and help. Cuba, look, it's a failed country. Everybody knows it. They don't have electricity. They don't have money. They don't have really anything. They don't have food. And we're going to help them along, and we're going to help them because number one, I want to help them, on a humanitarian basis, but we have the Cuban American population, much of it living in Miami and Florida. That's a great group of people, amazing group of people, industrious, they're great Americans. They've wanted this to happen. They want to go back to their country. They want to help their country. I hope they're going to stay here, but they want to go back. They want to invest in their country and, see if they can bring it back. Other presidents have looked at this for 50, 60 years doing something, and it looks like I'll be the one that does it, so we'd be happy to do it. We want to open it up to Cuban Americans where they can go back and help.
In Georgia, and
Georgia grocery store owner.
I have a single store, Food Fresh, in Claxton, Georgia.
Single store.
And exactly, to echo everyone up here, these refrigeration costs, I'm the only store in a county of 10,000.
Wow.
I literally 2 years ago put in equipment that should have about 20 more years of useful life, and to replace literally every single piece of equipment in our store would have been unbelievably cost prohibitive, driving up costs as we fight every day to try to keep them as low as we can. And if that cost gets too high, especially attached to regulation, do you have independent stores closed in neighborhoods that once I go away, you've created a food desert? So it's very beneficial that this happened today. It's much more complicated than anyone thinks, and to try to rush this through was just the wrong way to go. So we're very appreciative of you today.
Thank you.
I have a single store, Food Fresh, in Claxton, Georgia, and
we're negotiating.
Now back to. Okay.
Right now we're negotiating, and we'll see. But either we're going to get it one way or the other. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon. When people hear it, because oftentimes they won't put up the second part of the sentence having to do with, I'll say, this is more important than anything that we have to talk about, and usually they'll cut it off, the fake news. I said, because this is the nuclearization of a country that some people would say is somewhat crazy. And we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon. That's all it is. We can't let it. You will have a nuclear war in the Middle East, and that war will come here. That war will go to Europe. We cannot let that happen, and it won't happen. It's not going to happen. That's more important than anything else. I can think of nothing that's more important than the fact that we cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon, and we won't. Right now we're negotiating, and we'll see. But either we're going to get it one way or the other. They're not going to have a nuclear weapon.
They keep their highly enriched uranium.
No, we get the highly enriched.
Wouldn't imagine so, sir.
We will get it. We don't need it. We don't want
Silly question.
Want it? We'll probably destroy it after we get it, but we're not going to let them have it.
Now, I don't know why we would go and do that. It's perfectly good uranium. Why go and destroy it? Seems really silly. Okay.
I think if Democrats took control of the Congress, I think that, and let's say took control of the country, I think that this country's finished. These people are sick. They suffer from Trump derangement syndrome, but really they have bad policy. They have horrible policy. They cheat on elections. They get elected by cheating on elections. But you would have 2 states added. They'll terminate the filibuster immediately. Republicans should do that. They'll terminate the filibuster. You'll have Washington, D.C., and you'll have Puerto Rico as a state, which will be a disaster, which would be 4 Senate seats, tremendous numbers of electoral college votes. You will have that's really bad, but you will have the destruction of our country. They want to go to 21 Supreme Court judges. That's their perfect number. They talk about 13, but they want to go to 21 Supreme Court judges. If they get in power, I think this country would be maybe finished.
True. Macro Rubio boarding the plane. Sweden. NATO foreign ministers meeting on to the land of Pajits. On to India.
That targeted over 90 million.
Assistant AG Colin McDonald. So this is the announcement of the charges, including the guy that fled and busted his ankle or whatever.
Today, we are announcing criminal charges against 15 defendants in Minnesota for fraud schemes that targeted over 90 million in taxpayer dollars. Let me be clear up front about something. This is not the end of our work in Minnesota. This is not the end of the beginning of our work in Minnesota. This is the beginning of our work in Minnesota. The fraud here in Minnesota is shocking. Our cases today involve 7 different state-managed Medicaid programs that have been systematically pilfered by fraudsters who treated Minnesota-run programs as their personal piggy bank. One of the programs has been completely shut down because there's no money left. It's all gone. That was Minnesota's state-run Housing Stabilization Services Program, designed to help the homeless find and maintain housing. It was estimated in 2020 that it would cost only about $2.5 million a year to fund this program, but it ended up costing almost 50 times that much, over $104 million by 2024 due to fraud. And because of all the fraud, Minnesota had to shut the program down in 2025, and now these services no longer exist for these vulnerable homeless populations. The same trends exist for other Minnesota-run taxpayer-funded programs. An autism program that cost the taxpayer $600,000 just 6 years ago skyrocketed to over $400 million. And to be sure, that number is not driven by supply and demand. It is not driven by health care or charity. It is fraud. In Minnesota, make no mistake, today's charges are unprecedented. They include the highest loss amount ever charged in a Medicaid case in Minnesota, and the largest autism fraud scheme ever charged by the Department of Justice. The common theme throughout these cases is fraudsters exploiting vulnerable programs and vulnerable people to enrich themselves, no matter the consequences to the programs or to the people. For example, one defendant is charged with defrauding the Integrated Community Supports Medicaid program. This program is designed to help individuals with disabilities live independently. One patient was supposed to be receiving 24-hour care through this program, but he was actually being serviced by a fraudster and received no services. This patient was later found dead. Meanwhile, the architect of this fraud scheme was billing Medicaid as if he was providing care to this patient. The defendant even submitted a claim of over $400 for services he never provided the day before this man died. In another example, 2 defendants have been charged for defrauding a program designed to offer medical services to those with autism spectrum disorder. As alleged, the defendants paid kickbacks to parents who brought their children to autism centers, diagnosed children with autism regardless of medical necessity, and billed for autism services that were never actually provided. In one final example, 2 defendants have been charged in an over $22 million fraud scheme involving the Individualized Home Supports Program. This program was meant to support disabled individuals who wanted to live in their own homes. Instead, these disabled individuals were used like lottery tickets by these defendants to generate millions of dollars, which these defendants used to expand their real estate holdings, purchase luxury vehicles, and splurge on expensive jewelry. We will not, full stop, tolerate this greed and deceit. We will not let fraudsters bankrupt Medicare and Medicaid the same way that they bankrupted the Housing Stabilization Services Program. Just the beginning. With the support of President Trump, Vice President Vance, Acting Attorney General Blanche, Chairman Ferguson and the White House Anti-Fraud Task Force, Secretary Kennedy, Dr. Oz and his team, and the entire federal fraud-fighting apparatus, the Department of Justice will continue expanding our reach across the country to pursue all fraud, no matter how large, no matter how small, no matter how hard. Since April 1st, DOJ's Fraud Division has announced over 450 fraud enforcement actions nationwide, representing billions of taxpayer dollars. And this week already, we're delivering results coast to coast with a trial conviction in Brooklyn involving a $40 million drug distribution and fraud scheme, and a trial conviction in Los Angeles involving a $40 million Botox injection fraud scheme. To continue to expand our reach, we are announcing today the expansion of the healthcare fraud Midwest Strike Force to Minnesota and the hiring of 15 additional prosecutors dedicated to combating Medicaid fraud nationwide. These additional resources will ensure that the DOJ's Fraud Division will be better equipped to stop fraud and hold criminals accountable. My message to the Minnesota community and to all of America is this. If you see something that seems too good to be true, tell us. In some areas, such as in the daycare prosecutions we announced today, a culture of fraud has taken root, where child care centers even offer kickbacks to parents to enroll their children. If something sounds good to be true, it is. Do the right thing, speak out, help us win the fight against fraud. And now my message to the fraudsters is this: eat, drink, and be merry today, because your days of frolicking and freedom are numbered. We are doing everything we can to find you. And when we do, we will prosecute you, and we will claw back every dollar you have stolen from the American people. We will not rest until every fraudster knows that the cost of stealing from the American people is far higher than any scheme is worth.
Better make sure that message gets through. Kennedy now, impressor.
This was the cost of the Early Intervention and Development Program in 2020. It was 38.
Something there isn't going to add up.
8.1 million. This is what we expected to be paying every year. Instead, this year it hit 442 million. And that is
something ain't right there.
I'm showing you that because that's the magnitude of the fraud and the damage that we're talking about today. And I want to thank Todd Blanche, who couldn't be here today, Colin McDonald, and everyone at the Department of Justice for leading this effort. I want to thank also the FBI, who you're going to hear from in a little while, the HHS Office of Inspector General, CMS, and especially Dr. Oz, the White House Anti-Fraud Task Force, and Vice President Vance, and the investigators and law enforcement personnel whose relentless work made today's action possible. Today's arrests represent the largest autism fraud bust in American history. This was not a paperwork error. It was not a technical violation. This was organized threat, organized theft that exploited the most vulnerable children in America.
Yep.
Investigators uncovered brazen schemes that billed taxpayers for non-existent services, fraudulent diagnoses, and fake care, while criminals enriched themselves at public expense. Every fraudulent autism diagnosis steals time, care, and resources from the children for whom this program was denied and who desperately need this care. Families with autistic children already face enormous challenges navigating therapies, specialists, and support systems. Fraud makes those barriers even steeper. America is facing a real autism crisis. Today, approximately 1 in every 31 children is diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. Medicaid finances a significant share of autism-related services nationwide, and spending has risen dramatically over the last decade, and a lot of that spending is because of fraud. When criminals exploit these programs, taxpayers lose billions, and vulnerable children lose their access to care. Healthcare fraud now costs the United States tens of billions of dollars every year. Some estimates place the broader cost of healthcare fraud and improper payments at $100 billion annually. That fraud drives up healthcare costs for all Americans. It weakens public trust. It drains taxpayer resources and threatens the long-term stability of both Medicaid and Medicare. If we fail to confront the fraud aggressively, these programs will not survive for future generations in the form Americans rely upon them today.
Justice to the
FTC, Chairman Ferguson.
Today is about bringing justice to the fraudsters at an unprecedented pace, and the whole country owes tremendous gratitude to the Acting Attorney General, to Assistant Attorney General Colin McDonald, to the U.S. Attorney Rosen, to the Deputy FBI Director Rhea for today's indictments, and also to the Healthcare Fraud Strike Force that was sent here in Minnesota. And I just want to reiterate what was said earlier, having met some of the prosecutors today. The work done at the speed at which it was done is unprecedented. And because of Attorney General Blanche and Colin McDonald, this is going to become the new norm for American fraud prosecutions. Today is about bringing justice.
Good.
That we have here in Minnesota are enormous, but I'm happy to tell you that we have more prosecutors prosecuting fraud, more law enforcement resources investigating the fraud, and we are identifying and investigating and prosecuting fraud at a pace that is unprecedented here in this state. I am happy to report to you all, although I imagine many of you know that just a short time ago this morning, Amy Bach, cornerstone operator in the Feeding Our Future fraud, was sentenced by Judge Brazel to 500 months in prison. That's 41.6 years. While Feeding Our Future, while that fraud in and of itself was breathtaking, the truth is Feeding Our Future is only a start, and we believe it's only a small fraction of the fraud that is actually ongoing here in the state of Minnesota. And I can say so, Secretary Kennedy and Dr. Oz, it's my pledge to you that we're going to do our best to deter future thefts from your department and from your agency, to recover as much of the losses as we possibly can, and to put the thieves here in Minnesota into prison.
Good. Follow through.
On the Secretary Kennedy. So let me announce a few things that we are doing specifically on the Secretary Kennedy's leadership at HHS within CMS. We have deferred, as many of you know, $350 million to the state of Minnesota based on two sequential reports from the state of its spending over the last 2 quarters. This is all, again, money that we are going to defer because our job is to protect the federal taxpayer. And as Minnesota is able to justify some of these expenses, we will discuss these. We've also asked for a revalidation of all of the high-risk providers. Again, these are providers providing services for the kinds of things like driving someone to the office or carrying the groceries upstairs, things that, again, your family would often do for you. These of the 5,600 people who are being revalidated, the state has told us as recently as May 7th that only 40% have responded, rather 40% have not responded, or their responses are clearly inadequate. We believe that by the end of this month, which is the deadline, that half of these providers may no longer be allowed to provide services. That is a lot of people doing things to other human beings that are not supposed to have been able to do them. Again, that is the humanitarian risk that we're facing. We're here to fix these problems. We love these programs, but we're going to crush the fraudsters who threaten with corruption the foundation of the social safety that we have built in this wonderful nation over the last 60 years since the foundation of Medicaid and Medicare. We're going to make as many visits as we need to Minnesota. I've been here. I'll come back. So is everyone else on this panel. And my colleagues at OIG, DOJ, FBI, and many others share our passion. What life looked like. I want us to think back to what life looked like here in Minnesota a year ago.
Everywhere heck else, too.
Because that's when we started hearing there were concerns in this state about programs that had been built to provide services that historically had been given by families to their family members who are struggling. Kim Brandt, who's standing behind me, received a phone call, and her team began to work with Minnesota, trying to understand some concerns that were raised, suspicious billing that didn't seem to make a lot of sense. But Minnesota, Department of Health here, said they had it handled. They were going to take care of it. And we didn't hear back from them until the last week of August at a conference, at an event around that conference. There was a comment made by someone who worked in that organization here in Minnesota that they actually didn't have it handled, and there were significant problems that had gotten so out of hand that panic was setting in. And it was at that point that we re-engaged the process and realized that there were programs that had been created here with massive spending that had increased so rapidly that there's no way to save the program. The Housing Stabilization Program, which takes care of people who are struggling with homelessness or substance abuse and many other reasons why they may need housing, especially in a place like Minnesota where in the cold that can be lethal, needed that program to survive. We are all up here because we love these programs. Medicaid is the fundamental payer of last resort for our most needy, most vulnerable citizens. And when we're unable to keep these programs alive because of fraudsters, it hurts all of us deeply. And that's what happened here in Minnesota. Housing Stabilization Program, which had gone from a tiny little program to over $100 million of spending just to find someone on the streets a place to stay, which had been doubling in its expenditures annually, was shut down. Now, these are not the outcomes that we desire, but when you have to force a shutdown, it's an issue. Now, along that way, Nick, stand up. Nick Shirley, just noticed standing there, came and started doing videos. I want to call out the folks who are angry and frustrated about this. Thank you, Nick. Who want to, perhaps, if you want to serve, come join us. But if you can't serve, do what you can to shine a light on these cases. And with lots of folks beginning to tell us more and more of the different clues that we were able to put into a larger quilt to understand the magnitude of the catastrophe happening here in Minneapolis and in Minnesota in general, we began to take action. Today, netting $90 million. The 15 arrests today, netting $90 million, is a very important symbol because it's a shot across the bow. And we've all going to say this in our different ways, but I'm telling you, if you're a fraudster, do not walk away from this press conference. Run, because we are coming after you. We have lots of weapons to be able to use in order to accomplish that. The kinds of reprehensible behavior that we've identified with individuals bribing parents to lie that their children have autism, will carry that diagnosis for the rest of their lives. As a physician, that bothers me to my core. Not only are we selling our licenses as doctors when we allow this to happen, we're selling our souls, and there were doctors involved in some of these issues as well. It's rampant failure of this program is addressable, but we've got to be able to deal with it from within. There's a whistleblower. Her first name is Faye. She's on Capitol Hill today testifying, I believe. But she's spoken to me about the fact that there was a general fear within the health agency here of being called the racist, a fear that you would be politically inappropriate, politically incorrect, and that's fear is what stifled much of the action that should have taken years ago, taken place in an effort to prevent why we're here today. But we will keep coming back and we will keep helping. So let me.
You will see a subject.
Like quite a big day today. FBI Co-Deputy Director Christopher Raya.
On the screen, you will see a subject. You will see a subject.
Okay, this is the one we saw before. Best of luck, buddy.
Conducted themselves.
We'll take a few questions. Yes, sir.
Ernesto with the New York Times. I'd like to ask for your assessment of the way immigration agents conducted themselves here earlier this year.
What the fuck does that have to do with anything that they're saying?
I'm not going to talk.
That is the first question out of their mouths is a completely irrelevant question about ICE.
Talk about that. Any other questions?
I'd like to ask for your assessment of the way immigration agents conducted themselves here earlier this year.
I'm not going to talk about that. Any other questions? We'll take a few questions.
Ridiculous.
Primary agencies responsible for investigating and rooting out healthcare fraud, with jurisdiction over both federal health insurance programs and private insurance plans. At any given time, we're running roughly 3,300 investigations related to healthcare fraud across the country. And unlike some of our work in, say, the violent crime space or the national security space, this work doesn't always get the same amount of attention or national headlines as some of those other threats we work. But let me be clear. This work is just as crucial, just as important, because healthcare fraud is not a victimless crime. It targets our most vulnerable population demographic. It costs our country hundreds of billions of dollars each year, as you heard from the folks behind me. And that drives up the cost of healthcare for everyone sitting in this room. It's not lost on me, and it should not be lost on any of you or anybody in the public, that every single dollar stolen through these schemes is a dollar that came from the pocket of hardworking American taxpayers. And each of those dollars were meant to help somebody in true need, not to line the pockets of shameless crooks filing false claims. Unfortunately, Too often here in Minnesota lately, fraudsters have turned government programs into their own personal ATMs. What is even more troubling is these programs are meant to help our most vulnerable population demographic, the sick, the elderly, the disabled, and the unprivileged. That's why, starting last December, the FBI has surged personnel and resources here in Minneapolis, and across the country for that matter, to help in these efforts. These charges we're announcing today are a direct result of those efforts. These cases are often complex and take a lot of time and effort to investigate. Simply stated, they can take years to come to fruition. Fortunately, at the FBI, we have dedicated teams working healthcare fraud in each of our 56 field offices, not just Minneapolis. We've also got specialized teams of agents, intelligence analysts, data scientists, and forensic accountants that we deploy to support these cases, just like we deployed here in Minneapolis. So I want to personally thank our hardworking team here in Minneapolis under the leadership of SAC Chris Dotson, our financial crimes team at headquarters, and all the FBI personnel who've been part of our work here to get the results for the American people. I told you I wasn't going to repeat what was said earlier, but I'm going to repeat this because I think this is important. The speed, precision, and effort that the folks behind me and their collective agencies have shown in the last several months is truly unprecedented. In my 23 years in the FBI, I've never seen a healthcare fraud case of this breadth, depth, and scale come to fruition so quickly. It's historic, and everyone who worked this case should be extremely proud of what you accomplished in a very short amount of time. The next step, as the acting Deputy Attorney General said, is we're going to normalize that speed for cases in the future.
Nice.
One is we are adding we're doing two things. One is we are adding strike force prosecutors to our Midwest healthcare strike force team. That will be to put additional prosecutors on the ground here in Minnesota in a dedicated fashion to work for the American people right here from Minnesota. Our healthcare fraud strike force team, their work returns $106 for every dollar we spend. The ROI is 106 to 1 for the work of these healthcare strike force prosecutors. So that's what we're doing there. The second thing is to build out a completely new Medicaid strike force team. We're going to start with 15 attorneys. Those are going to be deployable across the entirety of the United States to enter the places where Medicaid fraud is of utmost concern. That includes Minnesota. It includes California. It includes other places. But we're forming that team so that we can deploy them to the hot spots and make sure that we can reach the fraudsters across the country.
Yep.
Happen, and to do it really well requires very good partnerships with local law enforcement, with local prosecutors. That's what will really solve this national problem, is people setting aside ego and agenda and deciding, you know what, we're actually going to do the right thing. That's what is going to be required across the country for this to work. Has the cooperation from the Minnesota individuals met that standard? No, it has not. It's fallen significantly short of the standard that we are seeking to set in terms of what a strong state and federal partnership looks like.
I see some of you mentioning hitting that thumbs up out in the Rumble chat. Please do that. Yeah, definitely. If you haven't done that, what are you thinking? What are you waiting for? Not that hard. Oh, look at that. I just did it too. I didn't even know I could.
The company is going to spend $20 million to drive down energy bills for residents.
And what's Google announces a $15 billion data center in mid-Missouri, creating thousands of construction jobs and hundreds of permanent jobs, and a bunch of other issues too. But right off.
Google has announced it's bringing a $15 billion data center to mid-Missouri, set to be located in New Florida. It's about 90 minutes west of St. Louis. Now, Google says the project will create thousands of construction jobs and hundreds of permanent jobs. It says it won't hurt the water supply as it...
Boy, is that ugly looking.
will be built with air cooling technology. The company is going to spend $20 million to drive down energy bills for residents. Governor Mike Kehoe says it's a win-win for everyone.
The Google folks themselves, as well as the developer, committed up front to me, to the county, and others. They want to be a community partner when they come into this county. They just don't want to build a facility and go back to wherever they're from. They want to be a part of the fabric of this community.
Now, Google, meanwhile, see if I can find this.
Ultimately scared to make this video, not just because I think Google might cut me off from early access because I'm here to tell you how bad a lot of the things they're doing are, but because it might put my entire career at risk. The last time I came out to explain just how bad a Google product was, it was when Anti-Gravity originally released.
Now, here we are with Anti-Gravity 2.0, which is what he's talking about here today, and it's somehow probably even worse. It's somehow even worse than the original one.
And my punishment for doing that was that they demonetized the video, stopped recommending it entirely, and they actually manually flagged it as enabling dishonest behavior. That flag killed distribution for a couple videos on my channel and risked my whole career. So know that I'm doing this despite the fact that it could actually hurt me, because I think it's important to share what's going on and why I'm so skeptical of Google's direction. I could easily do 4 videos of content about the things I'm about to talk about, but I don't want to waste your guys' time or energy. I want to really try to hone in on these topics and give you what you need as quickly as possible, because we just experienced Google I/O, where they announced the new 3.5 Flash model that I was lucky enough to have early access to, as well as the new Anti-Gravity CLI, which comes with a fun side effect of ending a lot of their open source support.
Yep. They're cutting off their old one, which was Gemini CLI. It was open source. Anybody could go look at the source code. It was free and open. Adapted to anything you wanted. Other models. That's all gone now. Cutting off support for that in favor of their new Anti-Gravity CLI. Completely closed source. And sucks balls. It's horrendous. Gemini was decent. This is bad. It's just like you're not even getting anything for losing all the open source benefit. You're just losing everywhere. It's just all losing.
And then the stupidest thing by far, killing their own customers. Railway service just went down entirely because Google Cloud, as one of their layers, banned their account that they're spending $2 million+ a month on for no reason. You do not hate Google enough. This video is going to kill a lot of opportunities for me. It's going to potentially risk my channel entirely. So I'd like to take a moment to thank today's sponsor for continuing to support us despite what's about to happen. I don't know about you guys, but I find myself waiting a lot more before I started using full JavaScript function and figure out how much that is being
Get back to Google sucking.
done. You can click line. Gemini 2.0 Flash is probably the single model I've done the most tokens through because we use it for a ton of stuff in T3. To be very clear, now that my bills are paid, let's start with the Gemini 3.5 Flash release.
The gist is it sucks. It's fucking horrible. It's really bad. And it costs somehow 3 times more than their previous model. They've jacked up the prices 3 times. And old people try to pitch people with, like basically paying shills on the internet. You go out there and pretend that it's the greatest thing since sliced bread, and it totally murders Anthropic's Opus and ChatGPT at such and such a task. Reality is it can't even come. It's garbage. It's horrendous.
Speaking of which, flashbang warning.
I'm not even going to play it because that's, I guarantee you it does. I think that about, like, they just keep getting worse and worse and despite somehow, again, having more resources, having had multi-year head start above and beyond ChatGPT and Anthropic, being the originators of like the paper that started the entire AI revolution. That was Google. Attention is all you need. By Lucas Kaiser, landmark 2017 research paper by Google that introduced transformer architecture, which is the basis for all modern AI as we know it. And somehow they still suck balls. Oh yeah, and they have all that data. And they have all that data too. All the data that Anthropic and OpenAI and X did not have. Still don't have. They've had to either go with open source stuff, buy other data sets that are available out there for sums, or create their own. Google doesn't have any of those hangouts because they're in everything, and somehow they've still fucked this up. Well, it blows my mind. Same deal with Apple, by the way. Apple is like asleep at the wheel completely. They could be dominating this, especially when it comes to like privacy, like on-device AI that doesn't get beamed out to the cloud, and you don't have to worry about your personal info being charted out to some server somewhere, and Pajit Singh from India reading all of your most personal details. They could be dominating that. Yet they're not. They could have been on top of that years ago. Ahead of the curve. I don't even know what they're doing right now. No one does.
30-year career.
John Solomon here. The career prosecutor tried to steal Jack Smith's Field Mar-a-Lago report by disguising it as a cake recipe. I think we saw that, so. Who is paying for the data centers? Any damn body with a bit of money, to be honest. Like the Wild West, probably, at this point. And any if you can get hold of the land and you can get the permits, like anybody with that access is building data centers at this point, like a money printing machine. It's not any one person or company or anything like that. It's everybody's like all in on that. It's like it's going to it's a massive upfront investment, sure, but at this point, print money. Yeah, Kevin O'Leary, I know, is in it. He's just one of many. Ton of people. Yeah, the opportunity to invest. I'd probably consider it. Foreign flags line cars outside of the White House just prior to ambassador credentialing ceremony. Fancy. A lot of fanfare, boy.
Court, halt. Forward, halt.
Amy Bach here. sentenced to 41.5 years in prison, ordered to pay more than $240 in restitution. What happened to all the money? Where did it all go? Judge grants Biden's request to intervene in FOIA fight. Blocks public release of 70 hours of audio tapes of his conversations with the ghostwriter. Autobiography. White House has postponed AI executive order ceremony that was expected this afternoon to a later date. I'm clear why they did what this was.
From a
Trump will be hosting a swearing-in ceremony for Kevin Warsh, Fed chair, White House tomorrow. Finally, yep.
All right, the Federal Reserve is a day away now from a changing of the guard, with Kevin Warsh set to take over for Jerome Powell as chairman. The Wall Street Journal writing, quote, Kevin Warsh wants to remake the Fed. Here's what he is up against. The new chair's framework has been consistent for 2 decades. The question now is how much of it his colleagues will accept. All right, the Federal Reserve is
the DNC finally releasing its autopsy report on the 2024 presidential election. DNC Chair Ken Martin writing, I am not proud of this product. It does not meet my standards, and it won't meet your standards. I don't endorse what's in this report or what's left out of it. Shannon Bream is the anchor of Fox News Sunday. She joins us now. So this just happened. Why do you think he thinks that it does? Well, do you know why it doesn't meet his standards, or why he thinks people will be disappointed?
Well, we're going through what CNN says is this report. We haven't verified it independently, but it's got all kinds of notations on it that are apparently the DNC's objections or questions that it had. And Ken Martin says he initially didn't release this after he had commissioned it because there wasn't source material. They felt there were issues with it, and they wanted to see more, pull more together before they'd release it. And then he said after we had some success in these special elections and other things, I didn't want to release it because I thought it would be a distraction. Then I realized it was a distraction not releasing it. So CNN says it's gotten its hands on this thing, and what they're purporting that it is. It talks about a lot of different things in here. They say Democrats have lost ground at every level, from inconsistent messaging and improper planning. They talk about funding and not equipping their state parties. And, the document I'm looking at goes on a deep dive through a number of state races, down to the attorney general level, and looking at where things matched and didn't match with messaging and voting. And they said, in some of these cases that you couldn't just have a message that we're anti-Trump. We hate President Trump, or he's not good for us. He's not good for the country. You have to have your own independent messaging. So it's nearly 200 pages. We're starting to dig through it, and would like to independently verify it ourselves as well.
To that report, some children. Good morning. According to that report, some children are spending more time on devices than they do sleeping or attending school. The Surgeon General calling the dangers of too much screen time an urgent public health issue. Surveys show most teens average 8 or more hours per day in front of screens. Experts say even toddlers are spending multiple hours a day in front of a screen, setting up potential mental health issues or poor developmental outcomes. So the report recommends children younger than 18 months, no screen time. Under 6, less than 1 hour per day, and kids ages 6 to 18, 2 hours per day. The main message from this report: live real life, both at home and at school. Experts say parents should lead by example, creating regularly scheduled time without the screens. Guys, good morning. According to that report.
Control, man. Bang! Lightning strike. Dude. It hit like right there. It's crazy. Jeez. Where did it? Oh, look, you can see it arcing on the gutter or something. Wow. Okay. NVIDIA founder and CEO.
Absolutely.
Jensen Huang. Let's hear it.
The president would like us to win in every aspect of AI. Remember, NVIDIA is AI. And the reason we're part of the AI industry, AI is a five-layer cake, and it includes energy and chips, infrastructure, models, and then the applications that run on top. The United States has to be absolutely certain and determined to lead the world in every aspect, every layer of that five-layer cake. From energy, of course, from chips, of course. And so all of these five layers are part of the new AI industry. The president has been very clear. He would like NVIDIA to, on the one hand, make sure that American technology and American companies have the benefit of the latest of NVIDIA and the most of NVIDIA, and that's surely the case. He's been very clear that he would like American companies to win around the world. Winning around the world allows us to, one, export, generate revenues for the country, bring back tax dollars for the country, create jobs in America. It allows us also to diffuse and spread the American technology stack around the world. So
there's something that used to be just like a given because it's how we worked. We drove it all. Entire world economy. Tech. Built the infrastructure. All. Somehow that got out from under us. Got to get back to it. He's not wrong. As far as tech CEOs go, again, I generally like Jensen.
So that the rest of the world can be built on top of American technology and standards. And so he's been very clear about that.
Trump is dead on. People in Havana reacted Wednesday after U.S. federal prosecutors announced charges against Castro.
Here in Cuba, officials are reacting angrily to the U.S. Justice Department announcement of an indictment against Cuban leader Raul Castro. The case goes back to 1996, when Cuban fighter jets shot down 2 planes operated by the Miami exiled group Brothers to the Rescue, killing 4 people. Cuba says the planes violated Cuba airspace and ignored repeated warnings before they were shot down. Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel accused the U.S. of lying and said that the move was politically motivated and had no legal basis.
Donald Trump no le enjuicia a nadie. Pero aparte, el derribo de esa avioneta, pongamos un ejemplo, si fuera al revés, si Cuba hubiese mandado esa avioneta a Estados Unidos, nosotros llegamos a Miami, ¿qué hace? Nos tumban como palomitas con los patrios. Entonces, ¿de qué estamos hablando?
Que se pongan de acuerdo ambos gobiernos y lleguen a un acuerdo. Una intervención militar a Cuba no quisiera porque mi hija anda en las calles, yo también ando en las calles, y realmente no creo que sería conveniente una intervención militar.
Pienso que no hay necesidad que venga nadie desde afuera a arreglar los problemas que los propios cubanos junto con su gobierno deberían ser capaces de resolver. Es tan sencillo como eso.
Sarah Kellen sitting for a transcribed interview at the House Oversight Committee today. Dean's former assistant. Excuse me. Ooh, White House meeting between Trump, Speaker Johnson, and senators scheduled for today now canceled. And then we saw Thune saying, yeah, well, here it is next up. Recessing the Senate until frickin' June, until next month. Going home, doing jack diddly squat, yet again. Again.
Of chaos on Capitol Hill as Senate Republicans are now set to go home until June. That's significant because that now puts them on course to miss a June 1st deadline that was set by President Trump to pass a reconciliation funding package to give money to both ICE and CBP. For more on that, we're going to send it out to Fox News Chief Congressional Correspondent Chad Pergram on Capitol Hill. Chad, it sounds like things just completely fell apart today. Fill us in. What happened?
Bill, good afternoon. Here's what happened. Todd Blanche, the acting attorney general, was summoned to Capitol Hill to meet with Senate Republicans. They had a lot of concerns about this compensation fund, and they were going to have to go through what's called a vote-a-rama, a lengthy vote series where Democrats were going to put Republican senators on the record on every single vote here, voting on something related to that compensation fund. And there were some Republicans who had a lot of reservations about this, too. I am told that they have to go back to the drawing board and completely start this bill again. I'm told that Tom Cotton, Republican senator from Arkansas, had some very pointed questions to Todd Blanche in that meeting today. The same with Chuck Grassley, the longtime senator from Iowa as well. And you could see just how glum some of the senators were, some not even talking to the press because they just wanted to get out. As soon as they sent out the notice that they were cutting senators, that is the signal that this bill to fund the Border Patrol and ICE is dead in the water. The whole idea was that they were going to work late this week, get this done maybe in the Senate overnight tonight, and then move this to the House of Representatives, and the House would just have to sync up. As you mentioned, this June 1st deadline, that's something that was made up. It's something that the president said he wanted this done by, but they have been dealing with spending bills for the 2026 appropriation cycle since this time last year. And so they have to go
unfucking believable.
Go back to the drawing board. They have to rejigger this bill. It's not going to get done right now. And even though President Trump has been on a winning streak politically,
French, but like seriously, an entire year,
he's not getting done what he wants legislatively here on Capitol Hill as they miss that deadline. Bill?
Pissed away an entire year.
All right, Chad, and I'm just reading some text from our Capitol Hill team here. The House also expected to leave today after their vote series at 4:30 p.m. So both the Senate and the House leaving and will be going home. Obviously, President Trump not going to be happy about this. As you mentioned, they will be missing that June 1st deadline. Chad Pergram, live on Capitol Hill. Chad, thanks as always.
Trump commenting here.
It's a very basic thing. It's called...
Oh, no, okay, this is a clip of Trump from March. Few months back.
Save America, actually, and that's what it is. It's having to do with voting and voter ID. We want voter ID. We want proof of citizenship. We added a couple, no men playing in women's sports. We don't want that. Nobody does. I think it's about a 98% issue. We want no transgender mutilation of our children. Very basic things that you wouldn't even think we'd be talking about 15 or 20 years ago. But for the voting aspect of it is we want voter ID, very important. You have to have identification and you have to have proof of citizenship. We don't want mail-in ballots. We don't want to have ballots coming from all different corners of the world. We want to have it accurate, and you can't do that with mail-in ballots. Actually, Jimmy Carter headed a commission years ago. He said mail-in ballots no good. We're the only country in the world that's doing mail-in ballots. And that would exclude, though, our military or people that are ill, people that are away. So we're generous in that way, but people don't want mail-in ballots because you have crooked elections. It guarantees a crooked election.
San Francisco police now using drones to hunt down pickpocketing rings, which are plaguing the city.
This newly released video by the department where their eyes in the sky captured just how brazen these pickpocket suspects were, opening up backpacks of folks walking down the street and grabbing whatever they could get their hands on. Investigators say the operation worked like this. Two in the group would act as lookouts while the third person in this organized crime ring would take the contents belonging to unsuspecting victims.
We're under arrest for theft. You guys are taking stuff from people walking down the street.
The takedown came after police say businesses in Chinatown and members of the community reported an uptick in pickpocket incidents and thefts beginning in early April. Officers arrested the people in connection to the crimes after a license plate reader identified a suspicious vehicle. Shortly after, the drones went up, which they used to capture the casing of victims and pickpocketing happening in real time. San Francisco PD then used those same drones to record the tracking and apprehension of the group. A search of the suspects' homes found more stolen property going back 2 years with a value totaling $14,000. Sandra, now $3 million.
All that for $14K. Stock market hitting new highs. All right.
average right now. The Dow, the S&P, NASDAQ, I mean, we're looking at record highs. The Dow is now firmly above 50,000, Mohammed. It's almost 50,200 now. This optimism is incredible. And the average right now.
President's renovation projects here in D.C.
I think it's great. Once it's going to be finished, it's going to look fabulous. It's going to look better than ever. I'm really looking forward to it.
He's a builder by trade. He's seen, different projects that he's had. The ballroom, hopefully. This, other projects, I think it's great. He's doing what he does best.
Change doesn't hurt, you know what I mean? So I think it'll enhance it, make it look better.
I really like him. Yeah, big fan. Washington, D.C. is a beautiful, beautiful place, and I think that to keep it beautiful, you need to renovate sometimes.
Oh, I'm all for it. I think you're doing a great job. I know the left was against it, things like that, but they was probably against some of the other presidents when they did things, they put in basketball courts and different things at the White House. It'll look back in history and they'll say, well, yeah, he did. Yeah, I'm glad they did that ballroom. It's supposed to be a spectacular ballroom.
I actually took a tour of the, the areas today and some of the sites. And the speaker on the tour was mentioning how the renovations were going and mentioning also how some of them were in place, and they were great.
How do you think this is going to impact the way people look at our country and the nation's capital?
Well, it's according to what politics you're on. If you're on the conservative side, I think most people are actually for it. And of course, the other party is always like, "Oh, we can't do that." But I think it's all progress and it's all good.
I think it's going to make people like it more. Yeah. Yep. They're gonna look at everything and say, "Wow, that used to look like this, and now it looks better."
There's going to be a lot of projects done and completed. A lot of things will have his name on it, but he always has the, whatever the TDS, Trump derangement syndrome. People say, "Oh, if Trump did it, it's bad." Just look at it. Look what's done. Look what he did. It's all good.
Well, I think it impacts very highly because we take pride in our nation. We take pride in what the president's doing, and we're all a joint member of what's happening as a U.S. citizen.
Miami residents reacting to the indictment of Raul Castro.
It's about time that someone gets held responsible for an act like that. I mean, I was born and raised here. My father's Cuban, and it's time.
That's pretty much the reaction we're getting today. We're here at Versailles, often called the world's most famous Cuban restaurant here in Little Havana. It's known as the unofficial gathering spot for Cuban exiles, and is famous for its iconic walk-up cafe window where you can grab a cafecito, a medianoche sandwich. It's also where locals gather to talk politics, especially today.
So especially today, May 20th, is a very special day for all free Cubans in Miami.
It's about time that someone gets held responsible for an
Oh, here's New York City the other day. Heard it was bad. Gross. That's doo-doo water. Oh, and then you get this one. I saw this one. This one's freaking crazy, man. Look at this. Look at this shit. Oh! Oh! That's brutal. Oh, God. Oh. God, I hurt just watching that. He got carried down the doo-doo river. Look at this. Bonk. Whoosh. Yikes. Happening now at the White House. More of the ambassador credentialing ceremony. The pomp and the circumstance. Very pompy. Nice. Putin says Russia not planning to engage in any kind of arms race. Our nuclear triad will remain on the scale that is required.
So, all the missions have been completed. I'd like to thank everyone, most of the President of Belarus, Lukashenko, everyone involved in the exercises, the servicemen of the Russian and the Belarusian army, for the perfect organization, good work, and perfect approach. This work makes our armies work more harmoniously, helps us develop all the components of our warfare. We are not planning to engage in any arms race. Our nuclear triad will remain on the scale that is required. We will continue to do the same thing that we have done for decades until today. We're going to work harmoniously, addressing all the tasks at hand, and we've been very successful so far.
Senator Tommy Tuberville now calling for GOP senators to get stripped of their committee chair assignments if they oppose nuking zombie filibuster, or would vote for Democrat amendments on the floor.
You got to play hardball.
Yep.
We've got several
it's that time.
People that are
it's past that time.
Not going to vote for filibuster, or they'll probably vote for some of the Democrat amendments.
Yep.
You say, listen, you do that, you're out as chairman of a committee. You're out.
And Laura, bye-bye.
Immediately out. We're going to put somebody else in, because that's the reason people stay here, is to have power. But we do it because of seniority. We don't do it because of merit. We don't have the best people in some of these chairmanships, so we've got to do the right thing. It starts at leadership. We're going to go in, I'm going to listen to it, and if we don't make changes, we go and try to beg people to do things, it doesn't work. Put their feet to the fire, let's go to work, and let's work with President Trump. You got to play hardball.
Indeed. Oh boy, now Chuck.
So divided. So this afternoon, Republicans, so divided, so dysfunctional, so disorganized, are fleeing Washington. Their majority can't melt down fast enough, not when Americans' financial situation is melting down every day.
Okay.
Republicans are in complete disarray.
What?
Well,
I mean, yeah, John Thune, I guess, but
they're at each other's throats, and the American people are suffering for it. Republicans are divided over things that Americans don't want, but Democrats are united around things that the people do want, for us to lower their costs, rein in the chaos, fight the corruption.
That's why your approval ratings are at all-time highs.
That is endemic to this administration.
Right.
Republicans have tied themselves up in knots and torn each other to shreds over Trump's brazenly corrupt slush fund for his billionaire cronies and January 6th insurrectionists. They have soiled their reputation by fighting to fund Trump's billion-dollar ballroom at taxpayer expense. And all the while, Republicans haven't lifted a finger to lower Americans' costs. Trapped in a corner by their own president, Republicans have their backs to the wall with no way out, nowhere to hide, no end in sight. The only way for Republicans to get out of this box is to stop backing the slush fund, stop pushing the ballroom, and as soon as we get back, join Democrats in fighting to lower Americans' costs on health care, on housing, on power, on child care, and on so much else, and to join us in fighting the corruption that Trump just revels in. Republicans are in retreat, but Democrats are moving full steam ahead to fight Trump's costs, chaos, corruption. Senator Durbin.
Yeah. Oh, this moron. Still on the run, huh? Oh, God, that's too loud.
ALL, FBI, is just a made up.
Ilhan big mad at those calling for her deportation.
That this is just a made up lie because you do not investigate someone for 10 years and not come up with anything.
So then why do you
Wait, what?
think it's still being talked about?
Because these people are disgusting.
So what do you call what you people have done to Trump?
They believe in weird, creepy things, and that's why they want to believe in this weird.
And
that's all I will say.
No, definitely. Why do you think, I guess, that you're being targeted then? It's like
they're racist. They're
There it is.
xenophobic. I just happen to be Muslim, and I don't think you're allowed to continue from there. But,
okay. Oh, okay. Understood.
Yeah, I mean, they're just disgusting, bigoted people, and that's all I gotta say.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that.
Broken record. James Comer says Ilhan Omar got caught red-handed trying to sneak in a budget earmark for a business that ended up being fraudulent. Oh no.
You have not investigated anything. Here's her. Watch.
House Republicans looking into the net worth of you and your husband. Are you cooperating with that investigation and providing the documents?
Looking into anything. They're just saying those things to get interviews with you guys.
Oh, they're just so nothing's actually they're just saying that.
Nothing really happening.
They're saying it's a red flag.
He hasn't investigated anything. He hasn't done anything. He hasn't referred me to anybody. He's just saying that so he can get TV interviews because
not what I've heard.
You guys will only talk to them if they say something about me.
Says you haven't investigated anything, Chairman. It's basically all for attention.
Yeah, she's delusional and she knows better. She's trying to say she made a mistake on her financial disclosure form. No one makes a $30 million mistake on your financial disclosure form, especially if you don't have any assets. You know, if you're Donald Trump or some very wealthy person, 30 million might be a rounding error. But for someone who alleges now she has nothing, that's a pretty big rounding error. And it all stems around two basic things, the problem she has. First of all, she asked for an earmark for a project that was later proven to be a fraudulent project that was involved in that Somali scam up there. And then secondly, she claimed her assets were huge because of this winery that we know has been shut down that, according to rumors and press reports, was defrauding investors.
Yeah, Congressman, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. We'll continue looking into this, as you will.
Is Graham Plattner
Obama
liability for Democrats after those lewd Reddit posts were exposed?
I haven't seen those posts.
Wait, what is this? Lewd Reddit posts?
Mr. Leader, is Graham Plattner a liability for Democrats after those lewd Reddit posts were exposed?
I need to know more. Tell me more, please. Let's see, Graham Plattner Reddit. Oh, this guy. Yeah. This is the guy that had the tattoo, right? Right? Isn't that him? Not Ben Shapiro. Come on, give me something better. Plattner faces Reddit.
He had previously posted and uncover it, and
else might be uncovered between now and November. The Post's politics reporter Ryan King has been following Plattner's rise and potential fall and filled me in on how this is all shaping up.
Graham Plattner obviously entered the Democrat primary as an outsider. He was this oyster farmer, former Marine, and really caught fire with the progressive base. But throughout the primary process, we saw that he had a bunch of controversies under his belt. Particularly this Reddit account that he mass deleted his posts from. People have been able to archive what he had previously posted and uncover it. And there were some wild comments, things like him defending soldiers peeing on dead Taliban bodies, things like him making fun of an American soldier who went out in the open to try to distract the Taliban from his fellow troops to protect them. He was mocking that soldier for doing that. He's also suggested that rural voters are just racist. He's called himself a communist. There's so many different things. Obviously, that didn't tank him in the Democratic primary, but now he's got to face general election voters in Maine, and it's going to be really interesting. The Maine Senate seat is the one that Democrats had seen as their greatest pickup opportunity. It's really Maine and North Carolina, but Maine has proven to be difficult for them.
I'm not hearing anything lewd there. What are these new... What? Says sexual assault victims should take some responsibility. Wow, that'll play well. Oh, man. Oh, geez. Why don't black people tip? That's a good question. It's actually a fair question, to be honest. But that's neither here nor there. What's next? President Trump's triumphal arch design approved. Okay. Building it. Doing it. Marking it down. Nice. What? AI barber? Robot barber? You need to tell me this video isn't AI? It's real? Interesting. I'd be worried about, like, I don't know, like a sudden malfunction or something. I've seen these things go freaky, man. Like spurging out, like twitching out and falling onto the ground in the case of the walking ones. Dude. Nope. Not me. I'm cutting my hair. I'll go to the Vietnamese guy, thank you. Oh. All in Western Japan, known for housing an eternal flame. It has been burning for over 1,000 years. Caught fire and burned to the ground. Aw. That's a hang. That's sad. I'd hate to be the person responsible for that. Muhammad Umar, the fraudster, fled this morning, believed to be driving this Genesis sedan, Hyundai Genesis.
Morning. That individual is currently on the run after having jumped out of a fourth-story balcony. I want you to get a good look at him right now. You'll see him. You'll see him running here. He is currently on the run. We need your help. If you recognize this individual, if you know this individual, if you can provide any information related to this individual, I would encourage you to call 1-800-CALL-FBI, CALL-FBI, or go to the internet at www.tips.fbi.gov or call your local law enforcement.
Oh gosh. New pride display at Boise City Hall.
I feel loved. You're going to notice something new at Boise City Hall, and that is that the flagpoles are now wrapped in pride colors. And
oh my God.
flags. You may remember that this comes after a new law was passed and signed into law that pretty much forbids state entities and government entities like the city of Boise from flying a pride flag on government property. The city had to take down that pride flag that had been flying for 10 years, and now they have found a workaround. So instead of actual pride flags flying up on the flagpoles, they have wrapped these poles now in Pride and Progress colors.
Can't take the L. They can't take the L.
And there's another sign up on the windows here at Boise City Hall that I want to show you that also has that same signage with words that say creating a city for everyone.
Oh my gosh.
Spoke with a gay Boise man who stopped to take photos and appreciate the display and says that this makes him feel loved and recognized by the city that he calls home.
He subsequently began working on the flagpole. Would not be surprised if that happened. Okay, it's the ambassador thingy.
Buying into foreign shipyards, we're having them.
Hong Kong.
We're not buying into foreign shipyards. We're having them invest in the United States. We want them to bring their operations here with the way they're able to crank out a destroyer in 2 years, and that will create basically 540,000 jobs in the United States.
Indeed. Build them boats. California resident confronts Karen Bass. Nice.
Yes, well,
Oof, that's...
No, she's a failure. She spent $400 million on Inside Safe and only permanently housed 1,500 people. 1,500 people. $400 million we spent on her program. She has tried to fight audits nonstop. I am not. I don't
Shut
care.
up, ABC 7 guy. Like, get out. He's saying the things you should be saying.
I'm trying to get
Where are your questions on this, sir?
answers. She has been running for years, and she won't answer the questions. Karen Bass, why have you been fighting an audit of Inside Safe? Why? You guys just want to sit there and run cover for her.
Bingo.
Shame on all of you. All of you. Yes.
Bingo.
Her softball questions.
Hero, king.
We have real problems.
Where's your crown, king?
You guys
Find it and wear it.
are the fucking problem. Yes. Well, let me.
Yep. What a guy. Bravo, sir. Trump DHS Secretary Mark Wayne Mullen arriving at Mexico's National Palace to meet with authorities on U.S. cooperation.
One water fountain. Example, you mentioned the water fountain. We didn't have one water fountain, I think we have 40. We didn't have one in Washington that worked, and soon they'll all be working. Many of them work right now. And I think one of the best things, President Obama, President Biden spent much more than $100 million on the reflecting lake between the Lincoln Memorial and the Washington Monument. They spent much more. They spent, some people say, $200 million. You know what they got out of it? A closed lake. It never opened, and when it did, it shut right away. It leaked. It was a disaster. Yep. I'm doing a job on the reflecting lake for a fraction of what they paid. Now, I've upgraded it I got so into it, I've upgraded it like you wouldn't believe. I'm doing all the walkways outside. I'm doing it properly. But it's a much bigger job. But you see it's happening now. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be waterproof. It's going to be reflecting again. I took over a dirty, filthy...
Let this play.
Well, it's sickening, and it's heinous, and it's just repugnant in every single way. But this gets back to the theme that I'm presenting today, which is that the third worldification of American politics is the normalization of assassination. It is one of the most horrifying features of life in the third world, right? Life in Mexico, life in nations across Africa, life in nations across the Middle East, is the normalization of the idea that assassinations are a common expression of of disagreement. It is one of the most vile, horrible, evil, society-destroying things that can possibly happen to a country. And so what we've seen on the left, you see it in Luigi Mangione, you see it in the assassination attempts on President Trump, you see it in the cold-blooded assassination of Charlie Kirk, is the creation of an ecosystem that lends ideological aid, support, and comfort to assassination. And you see it, and this might, look, some people might not like what I'm about to say, but it has to be said. You see it as well where you have the left continue in its professional associations like nursing and doctors and education to mint people, to produce people who casually cheer assassinations. This is, in other words, a regular part of their vernacular, their conversation, is I'm glad that so-and-so was shot, or I'm mad that so-and-so didn't finish the job. This is common now in white-collar professions that are controlled by Democrat credentialing bodies, is it creates this kind of person. And it's sick. I mean, you see it online. You see it also in left-wing comedy, where they cheer and they laugh and they joke and they all have a good time talking about our friends getting murdered. It's really fundamentally the normalization of assassination, and if we don't deal with this as a country, we're in for a world of pain and a world of hurt.
Oh, more Stephen Miller.
ICE also has one of the largest criminal investigative portfolios in the entire U.S. government. So a major component of ICE is Homeland Security Investigations, which is a federal criminal investigative arm with the same set and body of authorities as the FBI. They do a huge amount of work with Secret Service, for example, on protecting America from assassinations and lethal plotting. They do the lion's share of work on child trafficking, child smuggling, child pornography, also drug trafficking, counter-cartel, and many other essential investigations that relate to public safety. So it is a huge threat to public safety to not have full funding for the heroes of ICE and Border Patrol. And of course, on the southern border, you're dealing with threats every day from foreign terrorist organizations that operate on and control the territory all across Mexico on the Mexican side of the U.S. southern border. ICE also has one of the largest criminal investigative portfolios in the entire U.S. government.
Decide to pull troops from Germany.
Trump has ordered the deployment of 5,000 additional troops to Poland. Huh.
Will you move them to Poland or maybe some other countries on the eastern flank? Well, Poland would like that. We have a great relationship with Poland. I have a great relationship with the president. You remember, I endorsed him, and he won. And he came from way behind and he won. He's a great fighter. He's a great guy. I like him a lot, so that's positive. But will you do it? He's asking you for Mr. President, if you decide to pull troops from Germany, will you move them to Poland or maybe some other?
Endorse the report. Well, Democrats releasing the so-called autopsy of the 2024 campaign. The DNC says it does not endorse the report. It is releasing it under pressure after months of delays. The report accusing the Biden White House of not supporting Vice President Harris long before she took over as the nominee. Quoting here, the White House did not position or prepare the vice president. Had the White House explored and evaluated ways to leverage Kamala Harris earlier in the administration, perhaps it would have improved the president's standing, and it certainly could have helped prepare her to lead the ticket. Well, Democrats releasing the so-called autopsy of the 2024 campaign. The DNC says it does not endorse the report. It is releasing it under pressure.
Hey, everybody, Tim
Burchett just angrily stormed out of a committee meeting saying a backroom deal was cut to let Democrats control what they do. I don't know. See?
Hey, everybody. Tim Burchett just left the committee. Had some amendments that were cutting regulation, things that we should as Republicans do because of backroom deals they cut. They won't allow any amendments on the bill because the Democrats one Democrat didn't agree to it. So here we are in the majority, and we're not allowed to do that. And I'll guarantee you when the Democrats are in the majority, which they very much could be because of this kind of garbage. If we're going to be in the majority, you all have extended us an incredible gift, and we're going to blow it because we're not acting like we're in the majority. We got opportunity. It's not sexy. It deals with bridges and things. Anyway, the amendment did, and we allow the Democrats to tell us what to do. It's just unbelievable. At some point, we're going to have to give some guts. This town is crooked as a dog's leg, and I'm disgusted. So, thank y'all for sending me here. I really am glad you sent me here. This is the kind of stuff I want to fight, and I'll let them have it. Anyway, thank y'all.
And Bank of America. Hi, everyone. I'm Chairman John Molinar of the Select Committee on China. Last year, J.P. Morgan Chase and Bank of America helped CATL, a Chinese battery maker that has been designated by the Pentagon as a Chinese military company, and helped them raise billions of dollars. These two major American banks raised money through the Hong Kong Stock Exchange for a company that supports our biggest adversary's military. The two banks made millions of dollars and lent their reputations to advance the ambitions of a company making advanced batteries to power China's submarines. CATL is also linked to forced labor practices tied to China's genocide of the Uyghurs. Evidence of all of this was publicly documented by the committee before the banks made their decision. They ignored the evidence and helped CATL anyway. These banks are led by Americans who consider themselves patriots, but in helping a Chinese military company, they failed the millions of Americans who trust them with their money. American banks should never fund Chinese military companies, and the Select Committee's report calls for serious policy changes to ensure this never happens again. As chairman, I'll continue working to stop this from happening, and I will always fight to protect our country and the American people.
Biden Deputy AG Lisa Monaco referred to DOJ over alleged Microsoft cover. Now, what she done did? She buried investigations into Microsoft's cybersecurity failures, which there are many, before landing a top job at the tech giant. Oh, wow. How about that? Monaco, who served as deputy AG under Garland, joined Microsoft in May of 2025, very shortly after leaving the admin, months after leaving government. Her hiring drew immediate criticism from President Donald Trump, who blasted Monaco in a social post in September. Corrupt and totally Trump-deranged Lisa Monaco was a senior national security aide under Barack Hussein Obama and a lawfare and weaponization-obsessed deputy attorney general under Biden. Trump added that Monaco's access to highly sensitive information at Microsoft was unacceptable given the company's extensive government contracts. Trump further alleged that Monaco had been stripped of security clearances, barred from federal properties. In my opinion, that Microsoft should immediately terminate the employment. DOJ referral suggests Trump's concerns may extend beyond politics into national security and potential corruption. According to the letter, Microsoft suffered at least 5 major cyber intrusions between 2019 and 2023, involving Russian intelligence services, Chinese state-sponsored hackers, and Russian cybercriminals. The breaches were described as amongst the most damaging series of breaches of U.S. government information history. Despite those incidents, the Biden admin never brought a major enforcement action against Microsoft under the admin's cybersecurity crackdown. Boy, what does that tell you? Whine and bitch and moan about Trump owned by Russia? Like, what? Well, here's some detail on the Sarah Kellen testimony.
Sarah Kellen has been very helpful of all the people that we've interviewed thus far.
I hear she's named new names.
This was by far the most substantive and productive interview that we've had. She was very brave coming forward. I can't imagine how difficult it was for her to go into detail about the abuse that she endured at the hands of Epstein and Maxwell. One very positive thing today is she gave us 3 names of people that were involved in abuse. These were new names for us. So we'll be releasing the transcript as quickly as possible. I know there are some names of some victims that she also mentioned we're going to have to agree on redactions and things like that. But as far as the men that were abusers, alleged abusers, then the whole world will see that and we'll be able to move forward.
ExxonMobil reportedly close to securing a deal to resume pumping oil in Venezuela nearly 2 decades after pushed out. Oh yeah, saw one of you in the chat mention this earlier. Kyle Busch dead at the one. Hospitalized, severe illness. Well, first look here. Freedom 250's National Memorial Day observance at Arlington. Beautiful. Still RSVP. What the odds are, but that. House has canceled the 4 scheduled vote on Powers resolution. Done. Trump called off the signing of his AI executive order. Yeah, what happened to that? What was that?
Okay, so President Trump just called off suddenly the signing of his executive order on artificial intelligence just hours after he was expected to sign that order at a ceremony at the White House. Now, Trump's reasoning for doing this, he said there are parts of the order that he doesn't like and that it could harm America's competitiveness in AI. The president said, quote, "We're leading China, we're leading everybody, and I don't want to do anything that's going to get in the way of that lead."
Was this the one where they were like trying to have some like committee like approving AI models before release?
Now this
crazy. Not the way.
This executive order was highly anticipated. It was expected to be a push from the government to vet the most powerful AI systems before they go out to the public to guard and create safety measures.
China will not hold to that.
So that there are not vulnerabilities for sensitive industries, financial networks, healthcare systems, etc. It comes after the emergence of...
And the funny part is that this, and it blows my mind that someone allegedly so smart like Steve Bannon and that crowd stand this. If you can't enforce that like worldwide, all this is doing is creating vulnerability. Because if you don't have the tech to defend against this, which, like, you need the very same models that people would be using to attack in order to create the defenses, going to be hanging people out to dry. Our entire country. Completely ass backwards. Wrong way to go about that.
Anthropic's powerful Mythos AI system. That has raised alarm bells across Washington and Wall Street over fears that it can be exploited to break into those sensitive industries like health.
And it has. It will.
Care systems and financial networks.
You know what? It'll also be used to defend against that, too.
A source had confirmed to ABC that back in April, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, as well as Fed Chair Jerome Powell, that they had summoned Wall Street leaders for a meeting to discuss the cybersecurity risks from Anthropic's new Mythos model. So now it is unclear when this executive order signing will be rescheduled for and how the order could change.
Yep, I'm 100% against that. All right. Oh, hold on. Got one last notable. Mike Davis says investigators are now probing what he calls a grand conspiracy against President Trump, pointing to new indictments tied to the Jack Smith documents and reports of subpoenas in Florida. Here we go.
According to news reporting, they are moving forward with an investigation of a grand conspiracy against President Trump, his top aides, and his allies, where they politicized and weaponized law enforcement and intel agencies to take out a political opponent, Donald Trump, and help a presidential campaign, Hillary Clinton. And this is an ongoing criminal conspiracy. We've been talking about this on your show, Steve, for almost 4 years since the Mar-a-Lago raid. We have very publicly called for this very investigation in Fort Pierce, Florida. It looks like they're even starting to go after the federal prosecutors. There was a federal prosecutor who used to be the managing assistant U.S. attorney for the Fort Pierce, Florida U.S. Attorney's Office, who just got indicted on 4 separate charges for trying to steal Volume 2 of Jack Smith's reports. The district court, Judge Cannon, sealed that and said that that cannot be released because those charges were not brought. And this managing assistant U.S. attorney, according to this indictment, tried to change the name of that Volume 2 to a cake recipe and then email it to herself in February 2025, according to the indictment. What was she trying to do with this thing? Why was she trying to get this out the door? It seems like she was trying to violate Judge Cannon's court order so she could embarrass President Trump with unsubstantiated one-sided evidence that would have been in this Volume 2, not subject to cross-examination, not subject to rebuttal evidence. So she is facing prosecution. They brought in prosecutors from a different office from the Northern District of Florida because of a potential conflict with the Southern District of Florida, prosecutors prosecuting one of their former colleagues. But I think this is a pretty good sign that the Southern District of Florida is off to the races between this Raul Castro indictment that seems to be rallying all the troops down there. And then they're moving in on this managing assistant U.S. attorney. You're seeing news reports of subpoenas going out of Miami and Fort Pierce. You're seeing news reports that you could start seeing witnesses, lawfare Democrats coming into Fort Pierce to explain their role in the greatest scandal in American history, using law enforcement and intel agencies to take out a presidential candidate and to help another presidential candidate. And when they failed, to continue to weaponize law enforcement and intel agencies to take out a sitting president, to subvert the will of American people, and then to try to take out a former president when he was going to expose crossfire hurricanes. So buckle up. It's going to be a wild ride for the next many months.
Oh boy. All right. Go. Cool. That does it. Excuse me, for me. And is how you doing? Thank you for stepping in to cover. I appreciate it.
Oh, not a
always.
problem, Pam. Anytime, you know that.
You were the best. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh,
Enjoy the rest of your evening, hon. I got it from here.
I sure will. Yeah, have a good show.
All right, darling. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
And our leader, Mr. Pam.
All right, bye, guys. I'll see you tomorrow morning. It's Friday. It's crazy. The week's gone so quick. So I will see you bright and early. Be there or be square. Don't be square. Be there. See you then.